What happened to the price of Bitcoin and all other cryptocurrencies since the spot Bitcoin ETF was approved? What does Larry Fink, the CEO over at Blackrock, have to say about XRP and a possible ETF? And the last thing that we are going to be going over, and probably the biggest long awaited news, is we finally have an update in that Ripple versus the SEC case. So make sure you guys tune in all the way to the end of this video to find out all the details. Hey guys, it's Ryan with Big Dog Investing. Thank you guys for tuning into my channel. If you guys could do a couple of things for me, if you guys can go ahead and like, comment, subscribe to my channel if you guys have not done so already. Click the bell notification down below so YouTube can send you guys notifications whenever I release videos. Watch my videos all the way to the end. And if you guys could share my videos and share my channel with anyone, I'm trying to grow my channel as much as I can, and I definitely need your guys' help in doing so. Getting started, today's be Monday, January 15th. On my channel, we talk about anything that impacts financial markets. So this is going to include the government, political system, stock market, so the S&P 500, Dow Jones, all those companies. And then the biggest thing that we go over, in my opinion, on my channel, and the thing that I'm most passionate about, is cryptocurrency. So if you guys like this, please stay tuned. The total market cap right now for all cryptocurrencies is $1.69 trillion. This is a 1.02% increase on the day today. Fear and greed index right now, we are at a neutral. We're at a 59. So we dropped below our greed. We were in the high 60s, but we did drop below, in my opinion. Again, no financial advice, anything I say in this video, but was because we saw a price decrease since the approval of that spot Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin right now is currently trading at $43,033, Ethereum $2,534, and then XRP right now at 58.04 cents. Looking at the price of Bitcoin from that approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF, we look at the 7-day, we hit a high of $48,598, depending on which charts you look at. I saw $48,982. It just depends. But right now, we're seeing about a $5,000 to a $6,000 price decrease from our all-time high of the price of a Bitcoin. So in my opinion, this was one of those buy the rumor, sell the news events that happens all the time in cryptocurrency. But we saw a lot of institutional money come in. So we could have saw a lot of crypto whales buying Bitcoin, and then once it got approved, the institutional money came in and there was a massive sell-off. But in my opinion, I do see an uptrend. Again, no financial advice with the whole cryptocurrency market, especially leading into what's going to be happening with our elections. And then what's going to be happening with our interest rates. Getting into our biggest gainers and losers on the day today, Pulse is up 24.3%. We have Hex going to be up 16.1%. We got Blur up 14.9%. Biggest losers on the day, we have Bonk as our biggest loser, down 4.5%. KS is going to be down 2.9%. And then we have OP down 1.8%. Getting into our news, though, that impacts the financial markets, one of the reporters asked John Kirby during their press briefing, what is your reaction to the Inspector General report that the administration has lost track of over $1+ billion in military equipment sent to a specific country? You guys can read it right here. I don't want to get banned again. But John Kirby just responds, we're interested in improving accountability. So we lost track of over $1 billion+ of taxpayer equipment that we sent over to another country, and could be sold on the black market. Anything could be happening with this. But obviously, we're just basically throwing money away of the taxpayer dollars, in my opinion. Completely ridiculous and complete sham show of what's going on overseas. Peter Doocy utterly smokes Joe Biden during a live press briefing. So he asks Karen Jean-Pierre, the press secretary, said that a whole high school in New York is having remote classes today because the building was needed to house illegal immigrants. So what is the president's priority in this case? Is it the immigrants or is it the students, the American people? And the press secretary kind of fumbles a little bit and was like, well, everything that's been going on, there was a storm, it was needed to happen. And basically then backtracks and was like, let me back up really quick. Actually, this was a New York decision. This wasn't a White House decision. So you need to go to them to comment. So obviously it kind of just shows where their priorities were, and then basically realized she was in the wrong, in my opinion, and had to backtrack it. But he kind of basically goes about and says, well, what happens if these parents basically had to work, and then now they have to watch their kids? Now they're losing out on money that they could have been making at their jobs. So a lot of them are going to be impacted. Also, this is in one of the most impoverished places in New York City. So It's just completely ridiculous in my opinion. But we'll move on to the next thing. Carl Schwab at the World Economic Forum in Davos starts tomorrow, it says, but it's actually today. This was from yesterday. So the theme for this is the rebuilding trust. So this is a big conference with the world elites for the World Economic Forum, where they basically talk about where our world economy is and where they see the future. In my opinion, this is a completely sham show. No one asked for these world leaders to create this. Just Charles Schwab just comes out and does this. And then now everyone looks to this place for financial advice and what's going to be happening with markets. So as soon as like a lot of the videos start coming out and what they talk about, I'll update you guys in my next couple of videos on what specifically they've been going over and where they envision the future. But we saw a lot of trust go away from world government, and then also just your individual countries' governments with the pandemic and a lot of those restrictions. Eleanor Tourette says Gary Gensler gives us a statement on the SEC Gov hack. So this was the hack of the SEC Gov's Twitter or X account, whichever one you guys want to call it, where they basically came out a day early and said that the spot Bitcoin ETF was approved. And then it turns out that it was a hack. So it says, while the SEC staff is assessing the scope of the incident, there is no current evidence that the unauthorized party gained access to the SEC system, data, device, or other social media accounts. And then you guys can read their official statement right here. But in my opinion, this is completely ridiculous. How many people got liquidated? Blackrock took 11,500 Bitcoin from supply in 2 days. So they're basically just holding right now on shares. They have 11,439.22 shares of the spot Bitcoin ETF. That alone is in approximately 13 days of supply. So we saw a lot of institutional money coming into this. Market value is roughly about $500 million. So in my opinion, this is great. Obviously, we're going to see more institutional money come in, and this is just one of the 11 approved spot Bitcoin ETF trading partners. Vanguard is banning all Bitcoin ETFs from their platform per Bloomberg, if you guys want to read more about this. But we saw Vanguard come out and say this and says, like, we don't want to get our investors or our customers or clients in on this right now. They consider it not safe. Again, do what you guys want with your guys' own money. But Vanguard is going to be losing a lot of this. We saw Elizabeth Warren come out, though. So the SEC approved this. So through the court system, the court actually sided with Grayscale on this. The SEC had no choice but to agree to approve this. And then Elizabeth Warren comes out contradicting and criticizing the SEC for this. She says that the SEC Gov is wrong on the law and wrong on the policy with respect to the Bitcoin ETF decision. If the SEC is going to let crypto burrow even deeper into our financial system, then it's more urgent than ever that crypto follow basic anti-laundering rules. And in my opinion, they obviously do follow the anti-laundering laundering rules. The biggest laundered money, in my opinion, is just the US dollar. You can't be tracked. Obviously, everything on the blockchain can, but she sits on the banking committee, so obviously she's going to come out and not want this. So we're going to see what happens and more light comes of this, because we're going to see more ETFs, in my opinion, other digital assets like an Ethereum or an XRP ETF get an application into the SEC, and we'll see what happens with the SEC's decision on those. But Larry Fink says that the dominant form of bringing products going forward will be in their form of an ETF, which BlackRock's chair and CEO Larry Fink says. So basically, everything's going to be digitized in an ETF. We'll see what happens with this, but obviously, he's huge in the financial markets, and everyone looks to him for what's going on with BlackRock and where they're putting their money to possibly add to that. But crypto is here to stay from Coinbase, helping drive a more open, accessible, and global financial system. So Coinbase products will now be available in Africa, starting with 20 countries across the continent. Learn more of their partnership. So Coinbase and Yellow Card. So we're seeing a lot more countries and continents around the world using cryptocurrency to benefit their financial markets. Eleanor Tourette shares that new crypto payments firm and USDC issuer Circle has filed for an initial public offering or an IPO. Circle was one of a couple of big crypto names expected to file to go live public this year. The other is Ripple. So we might see a possible Ripple IPO here coming very shortly. Speculation is going to be in the third quarter is what I've been seeing online, but it can happen at any time. But it's nice to see Circle do this. Will it actually get approved, and how much money will each stock be trading for? So only time's going to tell on that one. But HBAR and Algo have teamed up. Algorand is partnered with the Rec Alliance, which is a chain agnostic effort to enable mass market decentralized recovery. The HBAR Foundation is part of the alliance, among others, and this is bullish for both. We're seeing a lot is going on with Algorand and the Clinton Foundation, and now they've teamed up with HBAR. Is this good news in my opinion? Obviously, I think so. Not a huge fan of Algorand with their partnership with the Clinton Foundation, especially with the new discoveries on what's been going on with them in those files. But obviously, this is where the big money is going to be going, in my opinion. HBAR also has a governing council has announced today that it has voted to give the board approval to allocate 4.86 billion of HBARs of additional funds towards further development of the Hedera network and enabling its decentralized government. So they're basically giving 4.86 billion HBAR tokens to fund what's going on in their development on the HBAR hash graph technology. So they're different than blockchain. They use a hash graph technology. And basically, this, in my opinion, is just going to be helping the ecosystem improve developments, probably faster transactions, but they already really have one of the fastest transactions. But in my opinion, I'm super bullish on this. We see a lot of other cryptocurrencies doing this, and just what's wrong with helping build a better financial system with that money. XDC, read about the Up Network's Oracle solutions and how they help enable the XDC ecosystem and allow developers to access more reliable data. So XFin is teaming up with this, and in my opinion, I think that this is bullish news for XDC. Huge fan of XDC. I love the XDC token and the XFin network. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says he sees value in having an Ethereum ETF. So this is where we're talking about where we're going to see other assets coming into play with a possible ETF. I do see an XRP ETF happening maybe sooner than an Ethereum, in my opinion, but Ethereum is the second cryptocurrency by market cap, so maybe we'll see that one first. But XRP is the only one that's labeled a non-security by Judge Torres. We see Larry Fink also come out and says Bitcoin is no different than gold as an asset that protects you. If you guys want to watch this, you guys can. But we're seeing a lot of news organizations starting to come out with articles, a lot of this stuff that's been going on. Gary Gensler with Grayscale on the decision, and then also coming up with a spot Bitcoin ETF. He says that Bitcoin is a highly speculative, volatile commodity asset. So in this video, he does say commodity asset used for illicit activities. So he basically talks about how the underlying asset of a spot Bitcoin ETF is Bitcoin, which is considered a highly speculative commodities asset, but says that it's used for illicit activities and doesn't see a huge financial benefit in having Bitcoin because the price varies so much and it's not really used for really anything. No one goes to buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin, which we know is not true. It's obviously not in the global payment system like Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, stuff like that, Apple Pay, but it takes baby steps to get there. And in my opinion, I do see a huge advancement in technology over the next 10 years. And I do see cryptocurrency benefiting, and we're going to see it up there, in my opinion, with Visa. Linda P. Jones shares, finally, that they're talking about XRP, even if they aren't saying the XRP, we know it. So Fox News talks about this on Fox Business. They talk about crypto stocks rally after the SEC okays a Bitcoin ETF. And in this video, they talk about how changing the yen to the US dollar, if you had a bridge payment system, which the XRP token does on their ecosystem, the XRPL, they talk about how you have to have $1 billion in yen and then you have to have $1 billion in US dollars, and that frees up, and then it leaves a total of $2 billion. But if you had that bridge currency, it frees up that the $1 billion that is needed, and it basically has faster transaction speeds, and you don't need to lock up all that money for an X amount of time until the transaction officially sends. So they don't say XRP, but the only bridge asset right now, especially that's even been approved and considered a non-security, is the XRP token. Mr. Intuitive comes out and says Larry Fink on Fox Business also says a shock. Gasparino, so Charles Gasparino, he's one of the reporters over at Fox, says, how about an XRP ETF? Fink says, I can't answer that. Gasparino was looking for a no, but couldn't get it. Sad, ha. In my opinion, I don't know if he was looking for a no, but he comes out and asks about this, and he was like, oh, I can't answer that. But then Gasparino comes out later and says, something to keep in mind about my question to Larry Fink about starting an XRP ETF and its non-commercial answer. Larry barely knows that XRP exists as a cryptocurrency. He's just a little more fluent in Ethereum status in the crypto ecosystem. That might soon change, but don't read too much into what he said. So if he says, I can't answer that about an XRP ETF, he didn't say, what's XRP? I don't know what that is. So when Charles Gasparino comes out and says, oh, he doesn't really know much about the XRP exists as a cryptocurrency, honest opinion, that's complete bullshit. Obviously, if he says I can't answer that, they already know what XRP is, and they're probably looking to delve into it and get some of those assets as soon as a spot Bitcoin ETF. So we might even see a Blackrock application in for a spot Bitcoin ETF, in my opinion. It won't make the XRP token in and of itself not a security. But it will make the spot price of that XRP token a security. And that's exactly what happened with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not a security, but the spot Bitcoin ETF, if you bought the spot ETF, then you technically bought a security. Same as XRP. If you bought the spot of an XRP in an institutional like BlackRock, Fidelity, Citadel, Vanguard, then you would be buying a security. So you have to make sure that you don't get those mixed up. Also, right here, James K. Filing finally gives us an update. So the SEC Gov has filed a motion to compel Ripple to produce its financial statements from the years 2022 and 2023 and its post-complicit contract governing institutional sales, because that's exactly what Judge Torres said was the institutional sales. Those pre-allocated contracts were considered a security, but everything else was not considered a security. So in my opinion, this is the SEC basically trying to get as much information as they can to possibly come up with an appeal after the official decision is given out and the complete case is over, because we got a partial win. We didn't get a complete win, and we're still waiting on the remedies and payments to the SEC. But if you guys want to read more about this, you guys can right here. And then right after, Ripple filed a motion for an extension of time requesting an additional 2 days until January 19th, so 4 days from today, to respond to the SEC's motion to compel. So they basically just asked for a little more time so that they can either get the documents together, or what they can do is they can come up with a reason why they don't want to give their financial documents. Why do they need to give their financial documents from 2022 to 2023 when the lawsuit was happening in 2020? In my opinion, this is complete bullshit, and they've been keep on doing this, trying to figure all of this stuff out, and they're trying to look and nitpick things for this case to try to get some sort of win, because right now they got destroyed in court with Ripple, they got destroyed in court right now with Grayscale, and they're possibly going to get destroyed in court with Coinbase because they are still in a lawsuit with Coinbase, which is a company they actually approved for an IPO. So they looked at their books, they looked at what their business model was, and they said, you know what, you guys are okay to IPO. People can buy stocks in your guys' company, but then basically said everything that you guys are doing is against the law. Why would you IPO them if they're doing stuff against the law? Frederick Rapoli, who's a lawyer, comes out and says that here's a hot take, is that Torres will partially grant a motion compelling certain information, but you can tell from the SEC's position in this letter that it is going to, surprise, surprise, use the damages motion in March to re-argue / reframe a portion of its losses suffered at the July 23 MSG. So thank you guys for tuning into my video. We'll talk about what's been going on over at Davos for the World Economic Forum, and then what Ripple's reply will be with their motion in probably the next video, if I don't make one prior in the next couple of days, which I think I will. So as soon as all this stuff comes out, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning into my channel. If you guys can invest with the big dogs, stay on the porch. Thank you guys and have a good one.